Well, bakers, I have some exciting news. Need to Know, the first baking entertainment podcast, is back. After a few years of taking a break, I'm excited to say that we are coming back with brand new episodes. Please join me, Gemma Stafford, and my co-hosts, Ami Shukla and Tiana Cohn, as we count down to new episodes by sharing some of our favorites from the past.
This is great because I can ask you, which desserts do you think taste better the next day?
Oh, you know what always tastes better the next day is making, like, say, banana bread, for instance, or gingerbread, something like. No, I don't mean the cookies. I mean like the cakey, like the quick bread.
Yeah,
those kinds of things. Like you call them coffee cakes here in the US, but like those kinds of recipes are always best the next day. So like, don't cut it, just leave it. And then the next day, the texture and the flavor is so much better. I don't know. They just kind of see it just seems to get like even better. And sometimes with a banana bread, it gets a little bit sticky on top, the next day. So like, it's even like the flavor is even better. It's just like when you think about making, excuse me, when you make like bolognese and stuff, it just, I don't know, you just give it a few hours, like overnight, and it's just like kind of finds itself.
Oh my gosh. How do you recommend, heating up like cookies or the cake? Like, what is the optimal amount of time in the microwave? Because I don't know if I figured it out.
I wouldn't do a cookie. You're talking about like heating up a cookie in the microwave?
Yeah,
I'd pop
cookies,
them back
anything.
into the oven.
Okay, oven for cookies.
Yeah, oven for cookies. Cake, yeah, like honestly, the optimal time for like cake and slices of cake and whatever, like 20 to 30 seconds. Like you do like want to be careful. But have you ever done this? Gotten had a big slice of chocolate cake with like vanilla butter, like a fudge buttercream on it.
Yes.
Or like kind of actually lots of different types of buttercreams I think would work well. Pop the whole slice with the frosting and everything, like put it into the microwave for around like 20 to 30 seconds. And like, it's just incredible. Like the frosting doesn't melt. Like it's not liquidy, but it gets really soft and the cake gets warm. So good.
Oh my gosh.
I always heat up my chocolate cake. Always.
Chocolate cake reheated is so good. Okay, but question about the cookies. Do they get hard again? Like what temperature should you put them on? And for
No,
how
they don't
long?
get hard again. I'd say 350 just for a few minutes. So if they're the gooey type of cookies, they kind of like what we call like refresh. So it's like refreshing something. And they get gooey in the middle again, like they're supposed to, and then a little bit like kind of like fresh again. Because especially with those gooey cookies, they're best eaten. Like some cookies are just best eaten the day that they're made. Yeah. And like for instance, my gooey cookie, chocolate chip cookie recipe is definitely eaten within a few hours. But then if you do have some left over, pop them back into the oven and it's like they came out like fresh from the oven again. And just put them in there at 350 for 2-3 minutes.
Oh my gosh, I'm salivating. This is such great advice.
So good.
See, because I'm very particular about my cookies and I don't like them to be crispy. I like them soft. Or no, maybe not soft, but gooey, like you said. And so anytime I bake cookies, I take them out like 5 minutes early. I know I'm supposed to do the full cook time or bake time probably, but I always take them out a little early because then they're gooey and then the next day they're still gooey. But honestly, it still holds it, I guess, if you do it at 350 for a few minutes. So yeah. Good to know. Oh, the more you need to know. Oh my gosh, we need to find music. Da, 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 da. Didn't you sing for us one week, or am I imagining things?
Yeah, probably. I kind of tend to do a lot of sound effects, especially when I'm baking, or like when I do like my Amazon lives, or like when we used to go, like even just in my videos in general, I kind of go and then roll this out, boop a doop a doop a doop a doop, and I didn't realize I was doing it until, especially on the lives, because the people would say like, what is Gemma saying or what is she doing?
Sing.
And I just didn't know. I make a lot of sound effects just in my life in general. Like ask Kevin, I'm always kind of like doopy 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 doop.
That's so fun. Life is more fun with sound effects. So everybody just needs a Gemma in their pocket to take everywhere. I think we'd all have a lot of fun. So are we ready to dive into the topics this week?
Yeah, let's have it.
Let's do it. All right. Here's what we had this week, hot from the oven. Very excited about this first one. So The Live with Kelly and Ryan star, Kelly Ripa, I think you know her, showed off the huge cake she had made. It was made by B Cake NY, pretty cool, for her son's high school graduation. Gemma, it was enormous. It was
What?
three tiers. I mean, I got to send you this picture. 3 tiers.
Send me the picture.
Okay. It was 3 tiers. It had a Michigan State University logo because that's where her son's going for wrestling. And it was topped like with these huge things, like the fondant, like everything is, I said that so weird, the fondant. And the fondant and everything on it is just like huge. My question for you is 3 tiers like too much for a graduation cake? Like, what is the optimal amount of tiers? Because to me, this was overboard. It's a great cake. It's just a lot. Like,
yeah. So this looks like the decoration doesn't, but it's the size of a wedding cake for sure.
that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, what is the right amount of tiers for something that's not a wedding? For a wedding, should they differ? Like, how do you know? We need a guide of tiering.
I don't know. Like, I think like a graduation is more of a sheet cake situation.
Yeah.
Just keep it kind of simple, like a sheet cake with like sprinkles or vanilla frosting, and like, the ones in Costco that have like they're thick with icing, and they have like big balloons on them piped with like buttercream frosting, and they're like huge. But
best.
I have to say though, this is one thing we haven't talked about before. I'm not, or what should I say? I am partial to a slice of Costco sheet cake. Because I think everybody is, right? Because it's that cake. It's like ridiculously soft. You don't know why it's soft, but it's not good. The buttercream, you kind of know it's not butter, but it's so delicious, and you don't want to ask questions about what it really, really is, but it all just tastes so good together.
Oh my goodness. Is this my new favorite fact about you? Yes. I love Costco. And for weeks, I've been trying to talk on the show. We've been trying to fit it in. But now, honestly, I'm just going to throw it in here about the churros there. Apparently, they upgraded. I don't know if you've been recently, but they've made the churros even bigger now.
They have churros. So number one, I will say I've never gotten the food there. Like at Costco, you get at the front. I've never gotten food there, but I do know that they sell like dollar hot dogs or whatever they are, which I love a hot dog. But I didn't know they did churros.
They do, and apparently they're bigger, and they upgraded or they upped the price of it as well. And so people were kind of like mad about it. Half the world was mad, half the world was like, "Oh my god, they're bigger! This is amazing!" But yeah, they're a little too crunchy for me.
I've never had them. I must try. I must check that out. The one thing I'll tell you. So I used to have to go to Costco a lot for work, and the one thing I always wished that they sold at Costco and they never did was coffee. Like, even if it's just a crappy cup of black coffee, I'm going to be in Costco for the next hour. Can I just please walk around with a cup of coffee? Like, that's sell, and all they have to do is sell it for $2 or $3, and I guarantee you they would sell tons of coffee.
Yeah, why don't they? You think
know.
they would? They just had the slushies.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't sell coffee. It doesn't it just has to be drip coffee, not fancy coffee. So anyway, I always thought that was kind of a bit of a missed opportunity. But anyway,
we need to write them a letter. You know what other huge store that I love going to that's like an event, and every time I eat at the end? IKEA. I love IKEA and all their food, and they have good cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't had them, but I've heard that.
Next time you go, if you're ever there, let me know. Dan always gets mad at me. I'm like, it's the Disneyland of stores. Like, you go, you plan a day, you wait in line. Like, you go one direction, all the directions are on the floor, and at the end you get good food. And he's like, that's not true. I was very disappointed my first time. So anyways, no one listened to me when I say it's like Disneyland, but I just get really excited, even though maybe I shouldn't. Anyways. Good times. We talked about a lot. Churros, wedding cake, tiers, sheet cakes, all of it. And so let's talk about cake a little bit more, but in a different way. So I'm really excited to hear about your feelings on boxed cakes, because apparently boxed cakes are getting remixed. I don't know if this is a new thing or if this is a thing that's been around that people do, but there's been a lot of stories on it lately. Like Shondaland has a series about it. Who was it in Food Magazine? Tyler Florence was talking about this as well. So I want to know, Gemma, what is your honest thoughts on boxed cake?
Oh my gosh, I have a few things. Tyler Florence is still around. I thought he was I didn't know he was still like on like
A thing.
A thing. Yeah, no, and I like him. I do like him. I actually, and I've been to his restaurants, but that's funny. No, I haven't heard about him in a long, long time. Wow. Box cakes, do I like them? No, I don't like them, because at the end of the day, all you need is flour, raising agent, sugar, and like a little bit of salt. That's and then everything else is just the normal stuff you would have to add in anyway, which is your liquid, eggs, maybe some oil. And like maybe milk or something like that. So, or buttermilk. So no, I'm not a fan, but I do get how convenient they are. Like they are really good, and they do give you that. I'll go back to the Costco effect of that. They do yield you this like incredibly soft, delicious. Probably shouldn't be eating this, but I want to have more kind of a cake.
Don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions. Just eat the cake.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that, I respect it. I will say, I mean, clearly, I think baking is just like a cake from scratch is just so much more of an experience. But every once in a while, I crave a boxed yellow cake with chocolate frosting. I do the same thing where I put it in the microwave and then melt the chocolate. And it's like my guilty pleasure. It's so good. It's so good. But I keep it simple. But I wanted to tell you about this Shondaland series. So it's called Boxed Baking. I've said box so many times now. And they've put out recipes. Like it's like an article, and they do 3 different recipes, and they do a store-bought cake mix. So they do like lemon, spiced, yellow, red velvet. And then they add things like fresh puree and jams and frostings and fresh fruit and sprinkles, my favorite. And it's just really exciting. And this month they did a strawberry cake mix. And I think it's cool. Maybe exciting is not the word, but it's like, it's interesting. And so I wanted to know, would you ever experiment with something like this? Like, would you ever do something like that?
Yes, like I thought about it over the years. I've said it to Kevin multiple times, but no, I never did it. And but you can get really creative. Like, yeah, you can do like dump cakes, and there's lots of different things. Like, don't you mix like a box cake mix with like a can of 7-Up and make a cake? And like, there's so many different things you could do. Yeah, no, like you can get creative, like for sure.
Nice. Okay, cool. Good to know. Maybe we'll see it from you. Maybe we won't, but either way. What would you, off the top of your head, is there anything you would add to a box cake to make it better? Or are you just like not possible?
No, it's not that I don't think it tastes good and would make it better. Yeah, I think like fruit is kind of like would be my go-to, or jam, or yeah, I'm trying to think like, these dump cakes where you get like fruit, you dump in a packet of dry cake mix, and then you put like, I think melted butter or something over it, something like that.
Oh my God.
Those are delicious. Yeah, dump cake.
Impeccable.
It's an American thing. Dump cake. Look it up.
Look it up. I think I've had, I feel like my mom used to have it all the time, but I think I'm confusing it with something else. My mom made it all the time. That was like her thing. But that's not the same thing as an upside down.
No,
cake,
different.
Is it? Okay, yeah. I think she made upside down cakes. But yeah, I feel like I've heard of it, but never had it. Maybe it's about time to do that. But it's funny you talked about fruits too, because I saw that you have your new recipe for tres leches cake, and you added fresh fruit.
Yeah.
And it's inspired by Portos, which I thought was really cool, because when I lived in LA, I love Portos. But have you ever had the potato balls from there?
No, I've only had the tres leche cake.
Oh my gosh. You have to try the potato balls. They're so good. It's like Cuban, I think, and it has like a crust, and then it's like potato inside with like ground turkey and peppers, and it's absolutely amazing. So if you ever go back and you want to try something, it's really, really good. Okay, so moving on to our next segment, we're going to do Now Trending this week. And so I'm going to give you a few things that are trending in baking right now. And this week we're going to talk about equipment, particularly in bakeware. And you tell me if you think it's worth the investment, if you think it's a cool idea, or if it's just not worth it and you can make do with what you have at home. Are we ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So this first one, which you may or may not have heard of, it's the lasagna trio pan. And I found it on MSN this week at a few other places. And you can put it's like 3, okay, it's so hard for listeners because it's not visual right now, but it's like 3 almost like banana bread sized areas in one pan that you can carry. Yeah. And you can make like deep dish pizza, mac and cheese, banana bread, brownies, coffee cake, and you can do different flavors in each one. Focaccia even. So do you have one, Gemma? And would you recommend investing in one of these?
So, somebody I think sent me one a few years ago. It was You know what it was? Was it lasagna? I feel like somebody sent me this lasagna dish that you're talking about. No, I have no use for that at all. If I wanted to make different types of lasagnas, I would do 2 different dishes. Oh, but here it doesn't make any sense to me. I just think it's makey-uppy. Like when you're making lasagna, you're not thinking, oh, I would love 2 different flavors of lasagna. It's like, no, you make a big dish of lasagna because like lasagna is a lot of work to make. So you just make one big dish. I think you probably knew my answer to that, Mia, when you were like asking me that I was going to like start ranting, but I think it's kind of unnecessary. I have a dish with along the same vein of the pie dish, and it's cut down the middle. So you can have 2 halves of a different pie. Mm-hmm. But it just makes no sense because like, what are you going to do? Like you can't have pastry on one side and cookie on the other because then it needs to be baked and then the cookie's not baked.
Yeah.
But then you have to do half a pie crust for each side of the pie. I just think
a lot.
It's not for people who cook. Like those kinds of things are not for people who cook.
Yeah. It's for people who want it easy.
I just don't
Which might be me. Yeah. Honestly, I have to say I was surprised. Sometimes I'm like, okay, Gemma's going to hate this and I want to see her reaction and it's funny. But then other times I'm like, Gemma might think this is clever. So I'm actually surprised that you're like, no, I would never do that, because different flavors of different things. Like I could see you doing, like one flavor in this or like adding a different fruit in the next one. But you have a ton of pans and bakeware. So it makes sense that you wouldn't want this. It's just one more thing.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Sorry. I just don't think I would definitely not spend money on that. And here's the thing. I do like that you gave like a variety. Like I know it as a lasagna dish, and like you said, you could do it for like banana bread and stuff like that. But all my recipes are calculated like a banana bread for like a 9x5 loaf pan. It's not like banana bread to be then divided up between 3 different pans and then mixed in stuff. Yeah.
Adding in the sound effects. Also makey uppy. I think we should just like retitle the segment to Is It Makey Uppy? Okay, next you have to tell me if this is makey uppy. So it's not. I think this has been around for a while, but I think it's having like a new life breathed into it. Baking steel griddles. So TikTok has done it again, where they think they've invented a thing, but it's been around. And so it's those flat tops that people use in diners, and you can do multiple things at once. Mostly breakfast foods, but you can do like pancakes and French toast and rolls or whatever you can make on there. Would you say that people should consider getting these, or are you like, again, not necessary?
No, that's a really interesting question. I'm going to put my hand on my one. I got one. Somebody gave me a voucher a few years ago when I left one of my jobs, and I went to Sur La Table and I picked up one of these like cast iron. Actually, no, it's not cast iron. The one I have, it's metal, but what is it? It's an amazing griddle. I've had it for 10 plus years. I adore it. I use it for 10 everything.
Plus?
Yeah, and I've even cut on it by accident. I cut on it, but it didn't damage the surface of it. I wonder, is it in here? Let me have a little look. It's shoved in the cupboard. But it's Nordic ware, the one that I have. It's fantastic. It doesn't rust. And you know what I use it for most of all is because we don't have a toaster, right? So I do toasted sandwiches. I make toast and stuff. You don't have a toaster? No, we don't have a toaster. We don't have space in this tiny kitchen.
Oh my God. That's like the first thing I ever got. I was like, I need a toaster. Wait, that's so funny. But I bet you're just probably fresher for it. Like your bread's fresher for it because you toast it in the oven or whatever.
I don't know. Like it's like it was one of the things. I love toast. I love toast and a cup of tea. But we never had the space for it. So we had this griddle. But my point is that I put this griddle in my oven when making bread so when you're making pizza or making like a loaf of bread or whatever, you slide your dough in on top of this cast iron, and it already is like much hotter than your oven actually is, because it's like it has been preheating in there. And then you bake your loaf of bread or whatever on that, and it gives you what we call oven spring, and it gives you this lovely pop to your loaf and like pop to your bread, and it makes it rise beautifully. But it's amazing. And honestly, I think it cost me $30. It's also the one that I got is you can flip it upside down. So there's griddle marks on one side, but then the other side is flat. So you can just choose, flip it upside down to which side you want to use. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's one of the best pieces of kitchen equipment I ever got.
Wow.
It is Nordic ware. You can get them on Amazon. And it's not cast iron. But cast iron can rust. I think this is even better because I did have a cast iron one at one point and I threw it away because it got so rusty. I didn't know you could salvage it. But this one isn't cast iron. I'm trying to think of what metal it is, but it's amazing.
It couldn't be like steel or like
I think
aluminum
it's a
steel,
type
like a
of
combo.
steel. I think it is. Yeah, I think it is.
Ooh, that sounds amazing. Also, oven spring just sounds so lovely. Just the sound of that makes me happy. I'm in a better mood already. Not that I was in a bad mood, but now I'm in a great mood because of the potential of oven spring. Wow, good to know. Okay, so people should get these. TikTok did maybe one thing right for once.
Yeah, so what do they do with it?
People just make everything on it, anything they can get their hands on. Honestly, nothing wacky. Like I've seen some wacky trends. I don't know if you've seen, I mean, this is unrelated to bakeware, but people do like, they'll dump pasta and then like bake it on their whole counter and make like nachos on top of their whole counters. Have you seen those?
What?
It's wild. But TikTok really has some like, it's the Wild West out there. There's some things that are ridiculous and there's things like this and I'm like, okay, that's pleasant. And TikTokers aren't ruining it. And it's really nice to see, but it's really good. I'll have to send you a picture of those when they like literally put like chips and then they put cheese and then meat and then it's like on their island and they're just like dig in and you're like, that's so... I cannot handle it. It's so, yeah, it's a lot, but
that's too much.
Yeah, it's too much. Okay, speaking of too much, if we have time to get to this last one really quick. So Megan Thee Stallion, she's a rapper, and she just recently got a candy themed manicure, and it says sugar on it. I'm gonna see if I can send you a picture. Slack.
Yeah, I know who
it.
Megan Thee Stallion is.
Oh my gosh, I promise I
like
knew
how you assumed I didn't know.
No, I didn't assume you didn't know. I always say like I'm like Kelly Ripa, like the talk show host,
okay.
and like
you're explaining to everybody, not just to me.
I did, yeah. I did say like the rapper pretty hard. I was like the rapper, so it's okay. But okay, here we go. Ready for this surprise? I'm excited.
Wait, what are you doing? Are you
reaction.
sending me something?
I'm sending you a picture of her nails. They're candy themed. They're sweet themed. On Slack.
Oh, look at that.
Oh my gosh. I love this. So, viewers are always, I feel like I see comments every once in a while, like people compliment your nails, like when you get them done, you're big. They're like, Gemma, I love your nails.
Yeah.
So, Gemma, would you ever do anything like this?
No, I'm not. I tell you what, I do my own nails. I'm very, I want to say low maintenance, but I think the real word is lazy. I do it myself, but I've had a manicure around 3 times in my life. But so I'm not really into like this. That's a lot though. Like how would you even button your jeans? Like that'll get caught. If you're running your fingers through your hair, that gets caught in your hair.
I've had long nails before and they're not fun. I don't know if I can do them again. But yeah, you couldn't bake with them, that's for sure.
No way. No, you couldn't. It would get dirty. But I don't think she's doing a whole lot of any of those things. So I think she's all good.
No, she's just living her best life.
And that was probably only for the gram anyway.
Yeah, I wonder, she probably took them off the next day. But this manicure got me thinking about Candytopia, which is kind of like a Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory type museum. You know how people are doing those like live experiences in museums or whatever. And so after COVID, clearly during COVID, it closed down. And now it's open again, I think in Atlanta and Philly. And it has like 12 candy themed rooms, yada, yada. Would you or have you ever gone to anything like this before?
I've seen them. That was in LA, maybe obviously not last year, but the year before. And like I remember like there being queues outside and stuff. I think as a young girl, if I was like 9 to like 14, I would have thought it was the best thing ever. Because I don't live and die by Instagram. It's not something that I needed to go and get myself in a whole pile of different pictures like in there. But it does look like a lot of fun though. But there's these big pools of marshmallows and stuff. But I just I wouldn't imagine like a 38-year-old woman like going around taking pictures of herself and swinging on lollipops and stuff like that. Like some things that just, nobody needs to see, and that's one of them.
Gemma just like stopping by the portrait of Beyonce made of candy corn and just like taking pictures. Everyone's like, what's going on? Yeah. So just for the fun, maybe not for the photos. Do you have, I don't know if we've ever really talked a lot about candy and just like sweets, but do you have a favorite candy, and like what would be in your Candyland fun house of sorts? I don't eat candy. I prefer to eat like what I make. So like I always have chocolate chip cookie dough in my freezer, because if I want something like that, I'll bake off a cookie, or I have vanilla ice cream always. I'm not a big candy person. I feel much better eating something that I've made than I do after eating a candy bar. Saying that, every time I fly, so my favorite thing, I'll answer that question. My favorite thing are M&Ms, mostly just the regular M&Ms, and then also Twix. I adore Twix bars. Ooh. So when I fly, I'm a bit of an emotional eater because I hate flying. So like I like to like keep myself fed and happy. And I always buy potato chips, which I don't eat in real life either. And I buy M&Ms or a big giant, and it's a big giant Twix. It's not the regular size, and also it's not a regular size bag of M&Ms. It's like the family size ones. Family size. And I will like eat those on a flight. I love them. I love M&Ms, and I actually have a bag in my house right now, and I'm going to eat them. But I do. I love M&Ms and I love Twixes, but that's kind of it. I don't really eat a whole lot of other candy. You know what I do love that I don't know if you see it here very often in the States. Celebrations. Do you know what they are? I don't think so, actually.
So it's not as common here, but in Ireland and in Europe, it's much bigger. At Christmas time, we get like these tins of sweets, and you would gift them to like your auntie's house, your friend's house. Like when you go to visit people at Christmas time, you'll bring them a tin of sweets. It's like a very old, I won't say tradition, but something that's been done for a very long time. Like you'd bring over a tin of milk tray or a tin of Scottish shortbread or something. And it was just something that was always done around the holidays. But Mars came out with these sweets called celebrations, and they for this reason, to come out around the holidays in these big tubs. And you get these mini, tiny little like Mars bars, tiny little Milky Way, like tiny little Snickers, and so they're all like teeny tiny. And then like the Maltesers one, you get like all these different flavors. And the thing about it is, the whole box. You know when usually you get like a tin of something, and you're like, oh my god, I only like 2 of these. Everything else is crap. Yeah. And with celebrations, like all of them are delicious. Like I eat all of them. So I do love a box of celebrations.
Wow. I've never had them. I have to try them. But you paint such nice pictures, and now I want it to be like Christmas time and the holidays. Which sounds fun. Right? I'm going to bring over a tin of candy to someone's house, specifically Twix and M&Ms, which I too, that's so funny you say that, because Dan and I have a tradition that runs in his family, but when we get on planes, we always buy M&Ms, and then we eat them as we're taking off. Yeah, so love M&Ms. I also was a big Kit Kat fan growing up, and Reese's. But I used to eat so many Reese's when I was little that I literally went through probably a 5-year period where I stopped eating them altogether because I was so sick of them. But now I'm back. We're back in the Reese's fam.
Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this classic episode of Need to Know. And remember, brand new episodes are coming your way this September, so get ready.